not able to see all the participants. However, I can see that there are about 68 of you, and I welcome each one of you for this webinar. It's a great move that you have done to come today in this. I'm sure most of you would have already had some idea about what has happened before. And if any of you is coming here for the first time, you probably can get in touch with Career Cell or the other students and get to see how the sequence of the webinars and the coaching sessions are happening. Okay. And today's session, before we start, I will request all of you to be with me for a while and just get grounded. We start all our sessions like that. So take a moment, wherever you are sitting, or even if you're walking or you're outside anywhere, just get into a quiet moment for a while. If possible, you can take a sip of water and just sit and relax. Okay. Now this relaxing is going to be like this, that you will droop your shoulders, relax completely, don't think of anything. If possible, close your eyes. At least don't be chatting with anybody else. Don't be interacting or talking or SMSing, etc. Leave all those things and just get focused here. So let's close your eyes and follow the instructions, please. You take a deep breath, and as you take a deep breath, you give yourself a thought that you're taking all the vital energies from the universe and getting nurtured. With that, you take the deep breath in, and when you exhale out, feel that you are letting go of all the worries, thoughts, any preoccupation of your mind, and simply relaxing. And as you exhale, also let all your body parts relax completely. So this is the pattern we follow. So let's start it. Okay. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, relax. Once again, take a deep breath in. Let your back rest to your chair. As you exhale, relax. Once again, take a deep breath in. And relax with your exhalation. Relax completely. Now for a moment, just think of the best place that you like to be in. And for yourself, in your mind, place yourself in that place. Enjoy the space. See the things around in your best place. It can be your bedroom, it can be your playground, it can be a specific tree that you like to sit under. It can be any space. Just see that space and everything around. Hear the sounds in your space. It can be of the wind, it can be of the birds, it can be of anything that you love to hear. Smell the things, feel certain things there. And for a moment, be there. Simply be in the best place that you love to be in all the time. Keep taking deep breaths. Now slowly open your eyes, very slowly. Get focused, and you're here with us in this webinar. Focused on the contents. It's all meant for you. So I would like to begin by saying that we all had very good experience of our first coaching sessions with all the students. It has been amazing, and we felt blessed that we are interacting with the young minds, and the way you all are thinking. You are way ahead, way ahead. I must say, all of you are so much concerned with humanity, and the kind of thoughts you have brought on the table is really, really a good experience for all of us. So we coaches are very thankful for that to you. There's time for coming next session of coaching, which will be beyond the purpose. Once you identify what is the purpose that you would want to live in this lifetime, then you start giving shape to it. You start seeing the space in which you will do it, the way you will do it. And there you start kind of identifying which is the industry or which is the profession that allows you that opportunity to be expressing what you really want to do in this lifetime. So, see, normally, if you would have gone through the session, when you talk about purpose, it's not about what you're taking, it's about what you are giving. And there's a whole lot of satisfaction, contentment in giving. All the salary, perks, incentives will come to you in that whole process. But the giving is what gives you the meaning. Okay. So while we were doing these sessions, we also realized that there is a requirement of, or rather, we kind of felt that there were resumes going on and there was a deadline on 24th for that. Then there are a process of selection and interview applications, etc., which is going on. So we changed the webinar. We wanted to do the webinar on happiness today, but we kind of replaced it with this more important webinar, which will be very handy for you, is about developing your profile on LinkedIn. I think all of you already had certain session on how to create your resumes, build it. So we kind of kept it aside, but we have put the content of the webinar today. We'll talk to you. How do you position yourself? How do you brand yourself on a LinkedIn virtual platform, which enhances your probability of getting called for interviews, the scope for the job, the way people perceive you. So this, I would say, this tool of LinkedIn is what is going to be a good lever for you in your career progression, career planning, and the faculty today will take you through that. So not taking much time, I will invite Falguni. Falguni is one of the coaches with us, and Falguni has been doing fantastic work in this area. Welcome, Falguni. You are unmuted. Unmute yourself, Falguni. Yes.
Thank you.
So, she is like, for us, she is the epitome of soft skills training, communication, and she is her qualification itself is in corporate communication first from Manipal University, and after she did her good job into a very male-dominated industry. Falguni, what is that called?
Debt markets to be
Market.
specific.
Pardon me?
Debt markets to be very specific.
Debt markets, yes. So with all that, managing all that show, she is now a co-founder herself. She has built this whole platform where she is taking ahead all the soft skill training programs. And this started after she graduated from ISB Hyderabad. She has done her MBA from there now, and now she's full-fledged into supporting these kind of activities. So everything which you would have in your mind with respect to all the soft skills and the profiling and the branding, she is the guru for all of us. Yeah. So I will give the platform to Falguni. You start, Falguni, with what is the content around LinkedIn, etc. We will then address the question answers also later. I would request that you increase your volume, Falguni.
Yeah.
Increase the volume on your system. And Arushi, if you could make her the presenter. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Falguni, over to you.
Thank you so much for that grand introduction, and I hope I'm doing complete justice to that now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, can you hear me clearly? I'd like to hear a little bit of energy. I'd like to see a little bit of energy on the chat box. Are we here? Are we excited? Yes, no, a little bit of energy on the chat box, please. There. Perfect. I see people excited. So, without taking much time, you've already heard my introduction, and that's absolutely not the important part of today. What's really important today is that we hear our own branding story, we create our own branding story, and we create our profiles on LinkedIn, which make all the difference to the whole world, and that's how they see us. So, here's what I'm going to do is jump straight to our presentation for today. Okay? So I'm going to call this session Pumping Up Your LinkedIn Profile because it's most important to pump up how the world sees you. All right. So I'd like to begin by telling you a story. In the June of 2011, I wrote a mail and it was a normal mail. But all it talked about was how I really wanted to learn corporate communication at a bank, one of the biggest banks in this country, and I wrote it to the guy who headed the corporate communication department. It's a simple mail, short mail. All it said was that I'm really interested in doing what you do. I love the way you're doing certain things, pointing out a certain instance that they had recently covered in the papers, and requesting for an opportunity to meet them and probably intern with them. And cut to a few months later, I interned at the HDFC Bank House for a couple of months. And then on my last day of my internship, my then boss told me one thing: Falguni, you got this internship because I don't know too many people who can walk into a room and confidently stand up and say, I want to intern here. So the point that I'm trying to drive here is that people don't remember resumes. People don't even remember people. People just remember stories. So you may forget the whole presentation today, but you'll remember me as that girl who walked in to get her internship that way. And trust me, so can you. And that's the magic of your personal story. So cut to LinkedIn. It's very important that LinkedIn becomes a window to your story. It does not need to be a monochrome resume, and I've said this to enough students, through the telling them about LinkedIn profiling, about developing their own story, about developing their own elevator pitch. It does not have to be that lame and boring like the B school photograph or the IIT resume photograph that you have in your blazers. It can be colorful, but it has to be very, very authentic. It has to be what you've done, it has to be what you want to, and it has to be your professional self. It doesn't have to be colorful like your Facebook account. It just has to be a very professional you. That's the whole idea of LinkedIn. All right, for all the BoJack Horseman fans in the house, BoJack tells you in this terrifying world, all we are the connections that we make, and that's the whole point of LinkedIn. So reach out not just to your friends, but reach out to people who you don't know. Reach out to the people you want to be like. Reach out to the people you want to connect with. Reach out to the people who you dream of working with and write to them. There's a magic and there's a power in just the words that you write, the words that you speak. One of my first bosses ever used to say something very beautiful, that Falguni, you never know, the magic of the phone or the magic of the email is the fact that the other side of it is always a human being reading it or a human being listening to it. So your words have a stronger impact than you know. So when we begin with LinkedIn, what's most important is to understand why before the how on LinkedIn. So when we say why, I need you to understand why are you on it. All right. One of the first reasons could be you want to build a personal brand. So who are you? Who could benefit from you? That's one of the most important things you need to be very, very clear with. That's the first clarity in your head, and then on your lead tag or on your LinkedIn profile that needs to go. The next being finding like-minded people. So who are you and who are you looking for? Are you a student? Are you looking for an internship? Are you a student and you're looking for like-minded students to maybe, go find a startup or maybe start something new, start a new venture together? Are you a student and you need to find inspiration? Are you a student and you need to find mentors? So who are you and who do you need? So you have to look for people accordingly. And the purpose of LinkedIn is to get you connected to the right target that you want to be at. But identifying your target is the most important thing. So whether you're on LinkedIn to find an internship, find a job, so you need to be very clear. Who are you? What do you want to do? And who can get you there? One of the biggest problems is that a lot of students, in fact, a lot of us, just start very, very randomly. That, okay, I just want somebody from Amazon. And that's it. Then you are looking into the profiles of hundreds of people on Amazon and you're as clueless as, okay, how do I really land up an internship here? You're clueless and perhaps more clueless than where you started. So, what you really need to understand is the clarity of, let's say you want to work in Amazon or you want to intern in Amazon, but in which department? And then track the right people down. Then write to the right people there. And that's the magic of LinkedIn, that it lets you reach out to anybody in the world. And you'll listen to me and my stories today that I've reached out to people from across the globe and they've responded with an amazing success rate on that. I'm very proud of that. All right. So are you and do you run a program of your own? Do you want to generate leads? So who do you help and what do you do and how? Let's say you're a digital marketer and you run a certain program and you want startup co-founders to get in touch with you. So how do they get in touch with you? That is something your LinkedIn profile should convey. I'd come to examples of all of this and I'll show you the profile going forward. Are you a startup co-founder and are you finding investors? So what are you doing? What is the startup doing? Who benefits from your startup and who will it help? And that is how, when the answers to these questions are very clear in your head, is exactly when you get further answers to it on finding the right person on LinkedIn, reaching out to the right person, writing to the right person, and then ultimately receiving a response from the right person. So very, very basic on LinkedIn. When you create an account, always remember to edit your LinkedIn profile on the laptop. Though check it on the mobile on how it's looking like. About 57% of people check LinkedIn on phone, and which is why checking what it looks like on the mobile display is very important. But the editing on laptop will always give you better access to the entire material and the flow on how it's edited. Although of late, LinkedIn has come up with some features which are very, very mobile specific, like pronouncing your name. So you're reaching out to people across the globe and they don't know how to pronounce your name. So you could probably record it on your phone, or probably using the QR code, which is a new feature with LinkedIn. So these are things which are mobile specific, but most of them can be done on the laptop. However, there's this one little hack that I'm going to tell you, that is the lead tag, and that's the headline, which is just about 120 characters if you edit it on your laptop, but it's about 200 characters on your phone. And I don't know if it's a glitch on the part of LinkedIn, but it still exists. So use that before that changes. All right. Do's and don'ts. One of the very, very, very important parts of creating your LinkedIn profile, and that is keep your full name, not your Insta handle. Bonsai Mehta 007 sounds ultra cool as an Insta handle, but not on your LinkedIn profile. Keep your profile very, very searchable with the lead tag and spend time on the tag. Now, here's where I'm going to take you to what a lead tag. So, this is exactly my profile, and you can see here Falgunica, co-founder, communicator, PGP Pro, financial services, people manager, host, and storyteller. Now, this introduction is the lead tag, and that is exactly how people find you. All right. So when they're going to put up in the search box, it's not going to be maybe necessarily my name. I could be finding somebody in digital marketing, and you see all the people who will actually pop up there are going to be people who have digital strategist, digital marketing manager, assistant digital marketing manager on their lead tag. So this is known as the lead tag. And I cannot emphasize enough on how much time you should be spending to create that lead tag and make it very, very searchable. So if you're a Java developer, write a Java developer, not just a software developer. If you're a full stack Python specialist, write I'm a full stack Python developer in the specifics, okay? Instead of just trying to say that you're a software engineer. Because there are hundreds and thousands, lakhs of software engineers. So how do you stand out? You have to be in that particular niche of what you're doing. And to be able to do that, your tag should be very, very searchable. And which is why I'm insisting on being very, very specific here. All right? So the second thing that you do is use the banner space on your LinkedIn profile. Now, here's the profile, and this is the banner space. Let me show you. So do you see this? We rise by lifting others. Yeah, this is the entire banner space. This is free advertising on the internet. This is entirely free advertising on the whole world wide web. And why would you not use it? So if you think you won a really big award that the world needs to know, it is subtle advertising. If you think you want to just, talk about a certain quote here. So I work around the concepts of people and reciprocity, and I'm a huge Adam Grant fan. So, my life revolves around this, and which is why this quote makes all the difference to me. We rise by lifting others, and which is exactly what somebody notices as the first thing when they come or land up to my profile. Right. So that's exactly how you can use the space too. For finding very, very good banners, you don't really need to create them. You could just log on to Canva. You could log on to Banner Snack, and both these websites would give you amazing LinkedIn banners. Okay. So am I making sense? Yes, no, something? Can I hear from you guys? All right. All right. All right. Great. So moving ahead. Uh, Professional photo. Yes, this is something. Why do I have to keep telling people this? I have to keep telling people this because I know of students who have their candid pictures as their display pictures on LinkedIn. No, LinkedIn is not Instagram. You could keep your candid shots for Instagram. Keep a professional photo, keep a picture that's your professional headshot and looking straight into the eye, nothing else. Okay, you don't need that nice cute, candid shot and how you're looking, save it up for your Instagram. Okay. The next thing that you need to know while making your LinkedIn profile is the About Me section. And this is the section I tell you that you'll have to spend the maximum amount of time on. And there's a reason for it. Because whenever somebody really lands up on your profile, the first and the only thing they notice is going to be, apart from the banner, free banner advertising, is going to be the About Me section. Okay, so you can see here my About Me talks of being a communicator, a people manager, a hustler, doodler, storyteller, corporate trainer, co founder, blah, blah, blah. I talk a little about being a soft skills trainer by choice, a freelance writer, entrepreneur by chance. Now, when I talk about being an entrepreneur by chance, there's a little bit of humor associated with it, right? So you can add humor in your profile in various ways. And I'm not asking you to be really funny because you need to be a stand up comedian here, but a little bit of humor hurts no one. Okay. And what's most keep this very, very, very jargon free. You don't need to tell people that you're really good at English. You don't need to be a Shakespeare because everybody reading your profile isn't going to be a Shakespeare. All you need to do is sound very simple, very to the point, and very, very authentic. So if you've not really done 5 internships or 5 different projects, don't write that. Self flattering is not required. Excess flattering is not required. Writing things that you've not done is not required. Okay, what's required is writing the most to anybody visiting your profile and writing it in a way that leaves the person with an open end to where they can contact you. Like, you see this point here, get in touch for freelance projects, student mentorships, trainings, and more. Now, this is what I call a call to action. Okay, that is something that is very important. The moment your About Me section ends with a call to action, like hit me up with this for further details on discussing startup projects, or write to me for projects on corporate training. So I know that when somebody's visiting my profile, they exactly know what is it that they need to get in touch with me on. All right, and that's very important. If you're a Java developer, they need to know what is it that they can get in touch with you for. If you're a trainer, they should know what is it, right? All right. The next thing is focus on the most relevant things about your career. It's not important to fill this section up with a 3 pager as to you won the first prize in a third standard handwriting competition. Save it up for some bedtime stories. This is really not required on your LinkedIn profile. All right. So that's about the About Me section. The next thing is, oh, okay, yeah, before I move forward, I should totally tell you a beautiful quote by somebody which said that a summary is precisely a short version of why you do what you do in your own words. So if you can come across as that and convince everyone that what you do is also who you are, you're golden. And if you got that, you got that. I really mean it. That if you can convince people with the amount of work that you've done, that this is the very authentic you, and the importance of authenticity is always underrated. It is one of the most important things that you need to be worried about in your professional life, not as much about your image, not as much about what people think about you, but as much about being authentic. That's going to really, really, really matter in the long. All right, coming back to the technicalities of LinkedIn. So choose the right people when you get an invite. Now, here's the deal. Most of us think like, I just need to make my network really huge and let me accept every invitation that comes my way. But is that the right thing to do? I'm afraid not. Here's where the LinkedIn algorithm comes into play. What it does is that it is going to show you similar people. Those of your network are going to have further in their network very similar people, and which is why you're going to further keep on developing a network of similar kind of people, which is not what it should be like. So let's say you're a web developer and you really think it's going to make a difference if you get connected with startup founders, with web developers, and also your people from your alum institute, the IIT Bombay. So you make sure that you accept an invite only from these people or anybody's profile that is relevant to you. It's not important to really accept your neighbors uh, LinkedIn invitation just because he sent you. And that's exactly where all the algorithm plays a massive difference. Okay. The first, so LinkedIn has a limit of about 30,000 people, and I'll tell you how you can move from connection to following going further. But in the first 5,000 people that become your circle are the most important, because that is exactly where the concentric circle is going to, play on the algorithm. And that is exactly where you should be, exactly why you should be very, very, very careful of the first 5,000 invites that you're accepting from people or sending out to people for that matter. And one of the really easy ways to do it is to send an invite to people and maintain an Excel tracker. So when you're sending an invite, I'm assuming you're not sending an invite out to random people. You're sending an invite out to people who matter to you. Let's say you're working on a research project. So you're sending out an invite to everybody, let's say, who's worked on a similar project, who could be working on something similar, who could be interested in something like this, and people who worked on it earlier, in the sense professors, alums, people from other institutes, and that is where it makes all the difference. So your LinkedIn is going to be very, very, very important, and that Excel tracker that you create is going to be about the people that you've sent an invite and people who, let's say, accepted your invite or not accepted your invite. But what's most important is never send an invite, never without a personal message. People don't accept it, and I wouldn't. Let's say, why would I? If somebody is not taking out the time to type two sentences to me on why do they want to be getting in touch with me, why would I accept their invite? Right? That makes sense there. Are you with me? Yes, no? I'd like to hear something on the chat box there. See some action. Yes? All right, making sense? All right, great. So here are a couple of hacks on LinkedIn. Okay? Sure. So comment on the right places of OPN and engage. Now, what is OPN? Other people's network. Now, I'll tell you how do you do that. Let's say I follow Ankur Warikoo. Most of you have heard of Ankur Warikoo. Most of you know he's the startup boy and absolutely the biggest investor, angel investor that everybody wants to get in touch with. And he has, let's say, posted something. Okay. So let's say he has posted something that I really like. So I go to his post. Okay. And I see there are some 19 comments. Okay. Now I go there and I see there are other people who commented on the post. So I go like the post first, and I go down to the comments. I read which are the people who've written something really sensible. Okay. And let's say there's one person who makes all the sense to me, and I feel okay, this makes sense, and I think something like this, and I'd like to get in touch with someone like this. So I go here to his profile. I then look at who this guy is. I read a little more about him on his profile, and I realize, okay, fine, this guy makes sense. I think he thinks like me. I'd want to be in touch with him. And then I'd send him a personal message and then send him a connection request. And that's exactly how you're going to find maximum people who you think are going to be thinking like you, people of the same wavelength, people who are engaged in the same topics as you, people who want to do similar things like you. So when you follow people who are really doing the kind of work that you want to do or who are in the field, that's when you will get to know their network and their other people's network, which is called the OPN. And how do you do that? Following people. So you go there straight on your network. Okay, you click on my network, you go to this left corner, scroll down to the third point that says people I follow, and you can follow anybody in the world. All right. So whether I want to follow Tony Robbins, Wasim Qureshi, or Ankur Warikoo, everything that they say, okay, comes up or pops up on my feed. All right. The next thing is join the right groups. It's a very underrated thing on LinkedIn that people don't join the right groups. And that's funny because why would you not want to join groups? Groups are things that will make all the difference to your career because of the kind of people that are engaged in the groups. So let's say I'm interested in freelance work. So I have joined several groups like remote writing jobs, professional communication professionals, brand storytelling and journalism coaches, ISB network or ISB class of 2019 because that's my class and those are the alums that I want to be in touch with. So utilizing this entire groups part is very important, and most of us don't do it on LinkedIn thinking, how is me joining a group on LinkedIn going to make any difference? And I'll tell you how it's going to make any difference, because whenever you visit anybody's profile, okay, you know how to get in touch with them. Let's say I go to Subha's profile. Okay, I go to Subha's profile, I see something and I see, okay, we're both doing something similar. So if two people are doing anything in the same field and they're in the same group, okay, then that brings a connection that you can. Just like I went to this profile called Parijit Chatterjee. Okay? I suddenly go there and say, you both studied at Indian School of Business. Now, there I go, I found a common link between me and this guy. So if you've joined several groups, like let's say the India Leadership Network or the IIT Internship Network or XYZ network that exists or a group that exists, when you join these groups is when you realize you have something common with people, and that's the common point, common thread that you can pick up and actually move forward in a conversation with. And when you write to them, you can write, oh, so we've been a part of this group. So there's suddenly a common connect that comes in. And when the common connect comes in, people suddenly have an affinity towards that person. So that's one thing. The next thing is that find the right people, right companies to follow. So if you're applying for a job in a company, it's very important that you follow the company on LinkedIn. Just like you have groups, you have hashtags, and you have networks here, you have to follow the companies. Okay, whichever companies. It could be any company which is your dream company. You want to be working with that company, you're applying for an internship in that company. Follow that company. All right. Um, and find people in the right geographical location. Okay, this is something not many of us do, and I'm going to really show you very easily on how you can do that. Let's say I want to find digital marketers. Okay. And I want to find digital marketers in the US. So I go there on location. I click on United States, I click on apply, and I click on people. So there I go. I get in touch with 126,000 people who are digital marketers in the United States. And I'm sitting here talking to you right out of Bombay. And how can I do that? Similarly, let's say I want to get in touch with a Python developer and I want to do that in the city of, or let's say in Maharashtra. Okay. So there I go. Java developer, Python developer. And why is it reflecting? Okay, why is Jason Ritto's name on number one here? It is because he specifically mentioned Python developer. Okay, not just software engineer, which is where takes me back to the first point that I mentioned to you. Be very, very specific with what you use on your lead tag. And that is where you should be spending maximum of your time. All right. So by the time you make your LinkedIn profile really crisp after this presentation today, spend those 20 minutes, 30 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour, or one day thinking about exactly how do you want to be remembered as and exactly how do you want to be searched as online. And that will make a lot of difference. So put that little extra time in thinking what you want to do. All right. So am I making sense there? Yes, no, I'd like to hear a little more on the chat box. All right. So you're with me, you're following this. So I hope you're having fun as well. And let's go back to this. Okay, so what are the things that you must do on this? Here's what you should do. Build credibility. Use the features section. Again, a very, very underrated section which can be used very well on this. Let me show you how. So you go to your profile. There's this section called the add profile section. Okay, you click there and you click on this featured thing called featured. And here, this is magical. You can have any of your posts, articles, links, media, anything that you want to share. So let's say I click on post. This is the post. So I had a mentorship meeting with Geographical, and that was a post I was very excited about. So I add this on the feature, click on the star here, and go down. That's exactly how this gets started. Yeah, done. So the next time you visit my profile, the first thing you see is that I had a talk with him and I put it up as a post. It may be like months ago, but then it goes there as one of the featured things. So the moment you visit my profile, you come down and you see this on the featured section. Similarly, let's say I had a really epic moment at a lamp lighting ceremony with Rakesh Bharti Mittal. I would want to highlight this as one of those moments in my career that I'm very proud of. So I put up that post, and that post goes down in my featured section. The moment somebody visits my profile, they go down there and they see one of the first things is that. Similarly, articles. So I'd written an article in quarantine, and I want people to read that article. So I published that article on LinkedIn, and then I put it on the featured section. The chaos within goes down on my timeline as the featured section. And whenever somebody visits my profile, the first thing that they see is these featured posts after the about me. In fact, please note that only the first 2-3 lines of about me are noticed, and only if these 2-3 lines are catchy enough is when somebody is going to press this see more button and go down and bother reading the rest of your profile. So if you're interesting in the first 3 sentences, is when you're interesting for the rest of your profile to even be read, and then go straight to the feature. All right. All right. So the next thing you're going to do is, and you must do this, is ask for recommendations. And see my language here, this is what I call it, be besharam. I'm not asking you to be shameless, I'm going to tell you to be besharam, absolutely besharam in asking for recommendations, because if you work with people, you can ask for a little favor of them writing 2 lines about you on LinkedIn, and everybody would be willing to do that. all you need to do is just write to them and tell them that you need a recommendation. And how do you ask for a recommendation? So you go on your profile, you go down on your education, go down, further scroll down to recommendations, and then ask for a recommendation. The moment you click here and there's this edit button here, you ask for a recommendation and send it to whoever you would like to send out for a recommendation. And I have, let's say, 10 recommendations here. And how does it make any difference to my life? And I'll tell you how. Because the next time somebody wants to hire me for an internship or for a job, the moment they're scrolling down my profile and they know nothing about it, okay? So they can just scroll down on my recommendations and see what are the people that I have worked with have said about it. What is it that they've said about it? And that perhaps builds a strong sense of credibility. I had some questions here in the chat. I'll take a lot of questions in the end, but just to answer that very quickly, how many recommendations can you have to build credibility? I think that was the question. I can't see it anymore. But if that's the question, the answer to it, as many as you want. You don't need to really go overboard with 50 recommendations. But yeah, the fact is that it is very important to have some recommendations to build your credibility. And the other question about would you have a recording of this meeting? Well, you would, in case you think you're going to forget any of it, which you would, which is absolutely okay. All right. The next thing is taking the skills assessment test. So you can take a skills assessment test, and that is a very easy thing to do on LinkedIn nowadays. So you post it on your profile, you scroll down there, and go down to the skills and endorsement section and click on the earn a skill badge. Okay. And then whether it's .NET framework, Adobe Acrobat, Adobe Animate, or n number of things that you may be proficient at, you can just go down, show more quizzes, and take a quiz and earn a skill badge in which LinkedIn actually technically certifies that okay, you're a C++, skill guy. So that makes all the difference on the credibility that you're building up. Okay. The next thing that you can do is comment, and you must do comment actively. So do comments and likes have the same intensity? Well, they don't. That's a very common question that I get asked, and they don't. They say the algo something like one comment is equal to 3 likes. So what you must do is every time you put out a post and somebody's commented on it, go back there and say thank you, or say something like share the same view, or looking forward to speak to you, or looking forward to have a further conversation, so on and so forth. So one comment there is equal to 3 likes, and by commenting on a comment of your own, the increase in views is almost 250%. So your post gets viewed that many numbers of times, and that's the amount of increase in your visibility. Why would you not want that by just simply commenting thank you on the number of people who commented on your post? And that's why you see all these influencers, they have a way that they won't just write one thank you at the end of 19 comments and go and thank 19 people individually, because that's actually taking their visibility forward. The next thing, and this is not very LinkedIn specific, this is specific to something in life. I'm a hardcore Variku fan, and I can tell you something. I lived my life by this funda, that if you need something, you ask. So whether it's an internship, whether it's a favor, whether it's a mentorship, whether it's just a conversation that you want to seek with somebody, you write to them, and that's the only way you get there. You don't really need the strongest of references to get you through to talk to somebody, but what you need is simply be writing really, really good words, really right words to approach somebody, simple words, authentic words, and then as somebody mentioned that in the comments, Uncle Varigo, do appreciate. That's absolutely right. That's exactly what I believe. So the next thing is talk to big guy you want to speak to. Stalking is generally a word we use in such negative connotation, but it's very important to know that you can actually stalk the person rightly, and that's exactly going to tell you how can you have a conversation with that person that does not make you sound like an awkward fan. Okay, how can you actually hold a conversation with that person, and how can you hold somebody's attention? So more on this in the coming slides. All right. Next thing is write well. So LinkedIn is not Instagram. Write good content. It could be short, it could be long, but it has to be very, very engaging. So LinkedIn has about 1,300 characters that you can post on. So when you write a post, it should be about 1,300 characters. Or if you have a very strong viewpoint on something, publish an article. All you need to do is write an article. Make sure you write it in Word, by the way, so that you don't make spelling mistakes. And then publish it on LinkedIn. And when you publish it on LinkedIn, the visibility of it is going to be amazing only by your own network and the number of comments that will go on beyond your network and by commenting on other people's network and other people who will comment on your network. So that's going to be a concentric circle that's going to keep on increasing. Okay. So the next thing that you do is write one post, at least one post a week. Yeah, I say this to people. A lot of times I don't do it myself, but the weeks I do it, I see all the difference in my profile. I see the kind of people who visit my profile. I see the kind of people who want to get in touch with me and the kind of conversations that follow. So it's very important that you write at least one post a week, or if not every week, once in 10 days, 12 days. I am absolutely against the idea of writing posts every day. Now, there's a lot of debate to it, but I think even LinkedIn says that if you have more than 20 posts in a month, there is, yeah, I will share the PPT to answer whoever's asking that in the chat. If you write about 20 posts in a month or so, even LinkedIn can't do enough to, keep boosting. So unless you're a LinkedIn influencer or that's your aim, I don't see any sense in writing a post every. Write relevant messages. That's exactly what I was talking about. When you're writing to somebody who has done something, write something very relevant to what he is doing. So you're writing to a startup investor, write about your idea and write openly without the fear of, oh, my idea is going to be taken. No, it's not. Whatever you're doing, whatever you're thinking right now at this moment, there are 50,000 other people around the world who are thinking of the same idea. Write out about your idea, write the relevant message to the investor that this is what you think, this is how this can go to the market, and you think you want a little more views or a little more opinion of his to develop something further, maybe have a conversation, maybe seek a mentorship conversation, or maybe have a further conversation on how you can talk about the funding process or anything. And if he can't do something for yourself, the least he will do after a conversation is guide you to somebody who can help you. And that, my dear friends, is the best way people actually move forward. Okay? So the next thing, follow up after people accept invite. Very, very, very important. So after you've written to the big guy, let's say you made it to the initial message and you've written something amazing and he's accepted your invite. But what after that? Most people are just like, okay, my invite got accepted and now what do I do? What do you do? Well, now you have a conversation. So the moment somebody accepts your invite, he's going to forget about it. But what you have to do is go to his profile, write a message, write clearly, thank you for accepting the invite. I see your interests have been in startups, in technology, in recyclable, in anything that the person is involved in. And that's what you should be going there, writing a message to them and engaging them and calling them for a conversation. Because at that point is where it's going to be a make or break. Either that person's going to just remain as another connection on your LinkedIn, you're never really going to, look back upon, or it's probably going to remain somebody that can make so much of a difference to your life because you had one engaging conversation with. So that conversation is the make or break. People can teach you how to really boost your LinkedIn profile, but nobody can really teach you how to have that conversation. I can only give you tips, but it's very important that you take that first step and have that conversation. Again, very, very basic hacks that I've come up with. If you are not sure of your spelling, use Grammarly. It's a free app. It's very basic and it's beyond your basic autocorrect. So it really helps. If you're writing a message to a big guy, do not make grammatical mistakes. Second thing you could do is put your website in the signature for subtle traffic. Okay, so how do you, let me show you how. Let's visit somebody's profile who's done something like this. LinkedIn doesn't really allow you to put in direct URLs, but what you can do is, let's say, show this to that. Okay, so you do see his About Me section. And then at the bottom of his About Me section is for career consultation. Here's a few channels, audiobooks, and IIT Delhi. So I exactly know this is the call to action on his profile, which means I could go there and visit these places and get in touch with these guys. Similarly, if he is writing a message somewhere, maybe what he can do is write the name or write the URL of his website and type it at the bottom of the message, and that's going to bring him subtle traffic. Okay. The next thing is a little debatable. However, the algo and a lot of online articles and the research that you do will tell you that post an article or post a post between 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. for maximum traction kind of seems to be working for me and most people who are influencers. I'm not one, but influencers who talk about it is to post something between 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. No harm in trying that. So I guess it kind of works. And then an open-ended point of discussion on the post or in a mail. So you'd see when people actually want to engage in conversations, they leave something open-ended. Okay, and how is it that they're going to leave it open-ended? This is how it is. They will share a post and then they'll end it with, can't really find the post. So, is this? Let's go back to this post. Okay, not this one, but then there are a lot of posts, which end with, do you agree? Or what do you think? What are your views on the same? So when you leave something like that, you'll have more and more people come up and not just like your post and go away, but actually comment on it. Okay, and that is going to make a lot of difference because comments are obviously heavier than the likes, and that's going to increase the visibility by 250% per comment is 250% more than the like I said, as per the study in 2009. So are you with me on this so far? Can I get a yes, no, enjoying it, not enjoying it? All right. So I see a few yeses, and I guess some people are still there. Now I'm hoping all of you are there enjoying it. Thank you so much. Yes, Kadam. Okay. All right. So the next thing that we're going to go to is how do you see? Yeah. So the next thing is writing hacks. How do you, now this is what I was talking about also. How do you position yourself to somebody that you have never met and it's this really big guy and you want to have a conversation with him? And I'll give you again my favorite example of Tariq. And I'll tell you how it went. The first time I wrote to him is I read something that he had written called the resume of failures. And I was very impressed with that resume of failures. And I thought, wow, someday I'm going to write like this. And this is going to make so much of a difference to me. And I think the fact that he shared this in open platform has made such a difference to my life. And I'm sure to so many others. So what did I do? I actually wrote to him. Let me show you what I wrote to him. So actually, I wrote to him saying a very special thank you. Yeah. So I said a very special thank you. And I wrote to him saying that you shared your failure resume and that made a lot of difference. Now, the fact that I written a very special thank you and whatever was my blah 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 story after it was a beautiful reply by him in the next 12 hours or so. And then he said that there are a lot of things I expected when I started to document my journey, but this is exactly what you brought me to. So the thing is, and the point that I'm trying to drive here is that when you engage with people's content and when you're authentic with the kind of stuff that you're writing and you genuinely point people out with something that they've written. It could be an article they've written, it could be a post, it could be their point of view, it could be from an interview that they've given somewhere. When you point something out, that holds his or her attention. And when you hold that person's attention, you're there. You're halfway there because the person's listening to you. And that's exactly what you want. And I'll tell you what, we've all been through that phase where we've applied to hundreds of internships. And the idea is not really to get through the hundreds of internships. It's just to get that one right internship which is going to work for you this summer. But so when you're applying to those hundreds of places, you don't really want a yes from everybody. You just want a yes or a no, but you want a reply. And to get that reply, you have to hold that person's attention. And to hold that person's attention, you have to do something which is like stalking him in an interview, in a post, in a paper, in an article, in a profile, and find something about him that you need to have a conversation about and write to. Okay. Again, these are people who are big in their field with whatever they're doing. Don't beat around the bush forever before you get to the point. In the first paragraph itself, after you've made clear on why your subject is the way your subject is, uh, just create a context that I wanted to write to you about an internship. And exactly in the first paragraph, the person will know what does he have to respond to you, whether it has to be forwarded to the HR, whether this needs to be forwarded to the concerned team, or whether he should respond to you right. Okay, and it's an interesting hack to maintain an Excel sheet. Now, why maintain an Excel sheet here? Because when you're applying to hundreds of internships, it's a very good idea to actually be knowing which are the places that you have applied to, which are the places that have responded to you, which are the places that have not responded to you yet. Okay, now going forward, I could give you quick examples. So I already gave you some. Some of the lines that I have used have been by quoting the research paper of a person who I wanted to really get in touch with on a research article, bringing something to his or her attention. Like I just gave you the example, use the title as drawing parallels from your career when I wrote to Vijay Jayarachan, who's the CEO and founder of Loyalty Rewards and Home, the digital space online. And I wrote to him saying, drawing parallels from your career because I heard his podcast and I realized that there was something very, very similar that I was doing in my career and I wanted to have a conversation with him. So I wrote to him and he responded. Guess what? Why do people respond when they see somebody's drawing parallels from their career? Because they feel, okay, this is someone I can guide. This person's close to me. And that's where you develop that basic affinity. Okay, going forward, then you have okay, I've also written people with a title like, do you know how you're making a difference? So when you think that you learned a certain idea from somebody really major in your field, a title like, did you know like 5 IIT guys are now had a startup of their own because of your idea or because of your guidance or because of your article. So that's something that's going to hold his attention in his inbox, and he's going to go there, click on that mail, and check and open what this was. Okay, like, you spell hope. I wrote to somebody called Jodie Glickman on absolutely the other part of this globe, and I really wanted to get in touch with her on a corporate training program, and I did. Why? Because I read something about her, and I heard her, and I felt she spelled hope for me. So that's exactly what I used as my, title to her when I written to her. I received a response months later, but I did when she responded to me saying, "Okay, great, Falguni. Yes, it's so nice to hear from you, and this is what we can do." So the thing is, when you write to people, okay, and you write to them touching a chord that makes a difference across the globe, people respond. And that's the importance of writing and using the right word. Very special thank you. That's exactly what I'm thinking like. Now, landing that perfect internship. How do you do that? So we've had a lot of yarn on what is to be done, but how do you do that? Here are the 4 things that you need to absolutely take care of. One, first find out what are your dream companies. Is it Facebook? Is it Amazon? Is it LinkedIn? Is it Coursera? Wherever you want to be. Now, find out in the hiring managers of the company. Let's say Amazon. Let's say I want to work in Amazon. So don't just Google Amazon. You type Amazon plus, uh, let's say, communication. If I want to work in the communication team of Amazon, I type Amazon plus communication and I go with people. Okay. So the first person I see is Aditya Bhalla, Corporate Communications at Amazon. Sonal Kapi, Head Content Marketing at Amazon Prime. So these are the relevant people that would suddenly show up. So that is exactly how I search. Who do I want to get in touch with? And don't just get in touch with the CEO of the company, because that person is not going to give you the internship. The person who's going to give you the internship is going to be the person who is actually either your hiring manager or your recruiting manager or an alum in that company. That's a very good trick to go connect with anybody. So let's say I want to connect to somebody in Amazon. I go to Amazon plus ask. Okay. And then I see, oh, there are like hundreds of people who 1,300 results who got some connection with ISP and Amazon. I go there. I write to even 10 people there. I'm sure two of them, three of them, five of them would respond. And that's the way I can build a connection and write to them very, very honestly, very, very authentically, and logically making a genuine attempt that, hey, this is what it is, and I would like to seek an opportunity internship. Could you guide me to the right person? Don't just go and hit your resume on somebody and be like, hey, here it is, and I need a job. That's not how it works. And very important when you write to your alums is convey, and especially in internships, convey your willingness to learn instead of saying I know it all. So if you know it all, you would rather be doing that person's job instead of that person there, right? So convey your willingness to learn, because when you're going to a company to intern, people need you to learn something, and that is when you bring something to the table. So that's something you have to honestly accept in the first place. All right. So the next thing that I'm going to bring to your notice is about soft skills, which is very, very important. If you think you want to meet somebody and create an impression in the 30 seconds that you meet somebody at a conference or in an elevator or somewhere else, learn how to create your story for those 30 seconds. If you don't know how to create your own story for that 30 seconds, I'd recommend you do a course on LinkedIn Learning, which is called, highly recommended. It's called Creating Your Own Elevator Pitch. Or probably do a Building Your Story kind of a course on Udemy or Coursera or anywhere. Sounds silly, but trust me, it's one of the most important things that you could do to yourself and gift yourself the perfect story for your own self so that you share that story and that story creates all the impact when you meet new people. Okay? Very important to be authentic there, logical there, and make a genuine step. So are you with me here so far on this? Yes, no, I'd like to hear something, some energy on the chat box. All right. I see yes there. A couple of yeses, a couple of more coming in. Thank you. All right. So for academic research, I will come to the end of my presentation very soon and leave this open to questions. But before that, a couple of tips for people who are doing their PhD, people who are doing some sort of academic research, and they have to send their CVs across to people to find research opportunities. And that is when you should do three things. One, convey your knowledge about the subject. Two, research on the subject. And three, and most importantly, research on the researcher. So research on the people that he has worked with, research on the subjects that he has already researched, research on the articles that have been published, research on everything that he has written in the whole wide web, and that is when you can point something out to hold his attention and write a detailed mail to him. Okay, and when you do that, writing a detailed mail to him, that is going, or her for that matter, that is going to make all the difference. So I always say focus your energy on the subject, research, as well as the researcher. And this researcher part there, trust me, without a doubt, is the most important one. Research on the researcher. Who is it that you're writing to? What are his interests? What has been his area of work? Don't just do a random, hitting an arrow in the dark. It won't work. So you've got to be very, very pointed when you're writing to people who specifically very, very research oriented, or you're looking for a research opportunity. All right. Very quickly, then some mistakes to avoid when you're on LinkedIn. Very important, not just LinkedIn, even otherwise, when you're writing mails to people, never address it as dear sir slash ma'am. Please, for heaven's sake, spend this much time finding out whether the gender is male or female, dear sir or dear ma'am, or better still, address with the first name. Do not write dear sir / ma'am. It looks like an absolute. Actually, it's so uninterested when somebody writes to me, dear sir / ma'am. I'd be like, has this person not really bothered finding out even who I am? Find out my gender at least from the name and take that much effort to type dear ma'am and then go forward with them. Okay? Do not write know it all mails to hiring managers. They know that you're an intern, you're looking for an internship. They know that you're just probably going to apply to learn something more and convey your willingness to learn instead of just trying to be like, okay, I know everything, hire me. No, we don't need. Okay. Do not go overboard on the endorsement. Yeah, this is something I should have shown you. Go. So there's this endorsement section below the skill badge, which all of you can use. Yeah, here. So you can keep adding, you can ask people to endorse you, but there's no need to go overboard with like hundreds and hundreds of endorsements and asking your whole college to endorse you. Okay, that is absolutely not something important. Now, while I am at it, let me also explain to you something here on the profile, which is use as much visual media as you can. Okay, it takes just about just like they say, an HR spends about 6 seconds on your profile or on your resume. Somebody just spends about an average 8 seconds on your LinkedIn profile. If you have more visual media that caught their attention, which takes just about 2.8 seconds to be precise to catch somebody's attention. So they will stay on your profile and probably bother reading what you've written. So use as much visual media as you can. Okay, coming back to do's and don'ts. Mistakes to avoid, please do not have a subject line as urgent or hey or please find attached. Array, it is urgent for you. It is certainly not urgent for me to open your mail, go through it, find blah 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 that you need an internship and you have a story to tell. But it is not urgent for me. So find something that's going to strike a chord with me. Use that as your subject line and then develop a context in the first paragraph and then talk to me about it. And then I would definitely bother responding to it. Okay? Next and the most important thing, never, ever, ever send an invite without a personal message. You send me something, unless you know somebody really well and you know this person's anyway going to accept my invite, okay, great. But the seminar gets over, you want to speak to me, you want to discuss something further about reviewing your LinkedIn profile, and you just send me an invite, I'm probably even going to see IIT Bombay and probably not accept it because I want to be like, the person has not bothered writing one sentence to me as to why does he want to get in touch. Why should I speak to this person? Right? So take that effort of writing, hi, I attended your seminar, would want to get in touch with you for XYZ reason. All right. Same thing. Never ever send a CV without a cover letter. And trust me, it's not a good idea to just bombard people with your CV all over LinkedIn. No, that's not what they want. When an alum accepts your request, that's not the first thing he's looking for. He's looking for a conversation. Have that conversation and then come to me. Okay. Then there are some interesting life hacks I could teach you. How much time do we have? Okay, so we have about a couple of minutes before I want to wind this up. Okay, tagging. Know this that on LinkedIn you can tag anybody that you're not connected with simply by @ button. So when you type a post or you have an opinion on anything in the world, okay, and you think it's a very well written post and you want to tag some industry stalwarts in it, go ahead, be patient, tag it. Okay, makes no difference. It'll only bring more attention to your post. Second thing, using more media. I just showed you how to use more media, and that's going to add a lot of not just attention, but people's staying power on your profile. Default settings. Okay, default settings as follows. So you go to your settings, you go to your visibility, and you go to your visibility of LinkedIn activity. Let me show you how. This is what it is. You go to your settings. Okay, you go to visibility. Go to visibility of your LinkedIn settings, LinkedIn activity, and see follow. Choose who can follow you and who can see your up.
The moment you change this button from a no to a yes, okay, my default button changes from connect to follow. I can connect with only 30,000 people, but I can have people who are not connected to me and still follow. Mentors moment, I hope that was. So you can still have people, and that way people who are coming to your profile can still follow your post and take that effort of right clicking there on your profile and then pressing the connect button and taking that effort of writing a message to you and why they want to get connected. So that makes a lot of sense. Okay, now going back to, yeah, going back to this. How do you personalize your URL? Again, something fancy that most of you would know, but in case you don't, so you go to your settings, you go to your visibility of your profile and network, and you edit your profile. Settings, your profile, visibility of your profile viewing options, edit your public profile. Okay, so generally you can see this here LinkedIn.Falguni Shah, tag Falguni Shah. Okay, instead of this, generally in your profile you will see there will be a huge number like a 351528 whatever, and you can completely do away with your number and have your personalized URL. All right. So that's a couple of things that you can do. What else? What else? What else? Okay. Let me take you to another feature of it. So I hope that these things and these hacks that I'm telling you are making a difference to yourself right now, to you right now, and some of you are gaining something out of it. Some of you would know something, some of you would know most things, some of you would not know most things. So if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, go create one. You have too much to do. If you have a LinkedIn profile, you have too much to do tonight. So I hope that's making a lot of difference to you there. Yes, no, can I hear something? Some action in the comment box, please. Yeah, all right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So again, okay, this is a quick tip that I can share, which is keeping your connections offline and handy. Not many people know this, that you can actually go to your data privacy settings and let me show you. Go to settings, go to your data privacy settings and get a copy of your data. Now, what happens is, since I already have it, it's not really going to show up, but there's this feature called download archive. And what happens is you can download the entire archive. That means the 1400, 1500 people that are connected to me are going to get downloaded in an Excel format. And the next time I want to probably just open my Excel sheet and see, okay, fine, who do I want? I want to speak to somebody from Amazon. And do I have somebody from Amazon on my connection list? So I could just go there, filter out the companies, that entire Excel sheet, and it shows me, okay, there are 15 people that you can get in touch with on Amazon. It's a good idea to keep it offline as well, so that you don't want to continuously keep going to, that person's profile and the person keeps getting to know that you're going to be seeing their profile. You can't hide the activity anymore. There used to be a feature that you could hide the activity, but now you can't. But that's okay, and I think it's a very good thing. It's a double-edged sword. The activity bar on your LinkedIn, which shows what is the activity that you've been up to in the last 90 days. Because when somebody visits your profile and they see what you've been doing in the last 90 days, they exactly know what is the kind of content that you're engaging with, what are the kind of people, what is your kind of opinion that you have on people, what is the kind of opinion that you have on social issues otherwise. This is very important, let's say, for a recruiter or somebody who just wants to have a conversation with you, or maybe think of is looking at you in a very different light of maybe a co-founder or something else. All right. Lastly, and most importantly, I'd come up with this, that is the 5-minute favor rule. This is a rule by my favorite author called Adam Grant, and this person called Adam Rifkin that comes up with this rule that's called the 5-minute favor. We live in a world that is full of people that's just going to rise up by helping somebody else. So it's a world which is so dominated by social media. It takes 1 minute to comment something on somebody's post, to go like it, to just comment there and make a difference to somebody else's post and boost his visibility to it. So if something takes you less than 5 minutes to do it, make an introduction, just make it. Get introduced to somebody via somebody, and you think you can help somebody in return for something, go ahead and do it. It's a simple favor, a simple 5 minute rule. If it takes you less than 5 minutes, close your eyes and do it. Because at the end, we rise by lifting others. And that's a very, very, very important thing. Your personal brand is just going to be that authentic, and that's how it's going to get created. In the end, it's the difference between who are you and thank you for being here. So that makes all the difference. It's a very, very powerful tool. LinkedIn is something that can be a game changer, and to use it wisely is something that you can gift yourself more than anybody else. All right. So for a lot of people who would want to deep dive, understand algorithms, have a look at some of the most beautiful profiles on LinkedIn, stunningly good profiles which have perfect call to actions. There are a few links that I've put in here, and I will share this presentation with you. You will also get the recording, so maybe you can have a look at these. And for all the algorithm fans, you can go and read frequently asked questions on the algorithm. And these are my contact details. You can always get in touch with me, anything that you want to know, and whatever is in my capacity to help you, make you understand, probably answer your queries, I'd be more than happy to do that. We at U Coaching have been consistently trying to work with so many students, and it's so energizing for us also to see that point of view, that there's so much excitement in students that half the times while we're coaching, while we're teaching, there's so much that we learn from you. So it's always a pleasure. And Project Neo has just been one such opportunity where we're having as much fun coaching students as much as I think you're having fun being coached with us. So once again, thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you for staying up here all this while. And now let's answer some questions. Okay. So I have a few questions I can see, and if I've missed any, please write your questions again so that I can answer them. How can we subtly approach someone with an intention to make them our mentor? When there's no subtle way to ask for mentorship, ask for it directly. You need it, ask for it. There is no reason why you should not write to somebody. See, being a mentor to somebody is a matter of pride. Why should you not write it openly? Write it. But again, write it with the way that is going to make a difference to him. So make sure you write to him and tell him that you read something about him, and this is exactly why you think this makes sense to you, and you would want to be mentored by him. So that person feels very proud of himself, like, okay, I can guide this student because this guy wants to learn something from me. So that part has to be created in your writing. So I wrote to Vijay Jayarajan, who generally does not, mentor students. But I heard his podcast and I wrote to him saying that drawing parallels from your career story. And he responded to me and said that, Falguni, I'm much of a doer than a mentor, and I haven't really mentored but if you still want to have a conversation, we can. And I had a 1.5 hour long conversation with him. So that made all the difference to my thought process and how I can look at things very, very differently. So you ask something, you will get it. And if you don't ask, you will not get it. So the best way to ask for a mentorship is simply write, be direct. Can you explain what should we write in the experience section? Also, LinkedIn Premium, does it really help to do by? Okay, to answer your second question first, does LinkedIn Premium really help and should you buy it? I think it does not make too much of a difference. It makes a difference if you are really looking to utilize LinkedIn Learning day in and day out and do all the courses on it, one. And two, if you're also looking at finding people and sending them cold mails. So if you're in the process of sending 100 people cold mails where you want to be customizing each of those mails and mind it, I hope after today's session, nobody ever bothers sending a mail without customizing it. So if you want to do that, customize hundreds of mails, and I think it gives you 15 email credits per month. So you can go ahead and do that. In that way, it's a good experience. But I think personally for me, LinkedIn Learning is good. LinkedIn Premium is good because of the LinkedIn Learning that I get access to. And what should you write in the experience section? Well, if you have an internship in the past, you write that. Otherwise, you don't. So you just write your education, and that's about it. Because people don't expect you to have a 5-year experience when you're coming to IIT. They know that you're graduating here, and they expect you to be having just maybe one internship, or maybe not even that, just your education column, and this is your first, professional social media experience. So it's absolutely okay to leave that blank. Okay. How is having connections different from having followers? Okay. So followers are the people who are just going to be reading your written material. Connections are people who are your first connections. Just like on Facebook, you have friends. So these are people you can have like like a both-sided conversation with. Okay, a mutual conversation with. And with followers, it's just going to be them following you with whatever you're doing. You're not really following what they're doing. Okay, so having followers is a good idea if you think that you have a product that you want more and more people to know about, but you don't really want to engage in a conversation with anyone else. So that's good. Is it important to put a cover image? It's not about important, but I would say, why would you want to leave that free advertising space? It is your space on the whole World Wide Web. Why would you leave it? If it's an advertising space, use it. Who gives you free advertising space? LinkedIn cover image is giving you that space. Use it. Why would you not use it? There's no reason why you shouldn't use it. However, it's not mandatory. Okay, what should we write in our headline? Should we keep our focus on internships or education? Very important question. Now, what should you write on your headline is nothing to do with your internship. It's got to do with how you want to be positioned as a brand in particular. So, if I want to be positioned as a storyteller, as a co-founder, as somebody in the financial services industry, at the same time as a host, and as somebody who has passed out of ISP, because I want to keep in touch with my alum network, so I write ISP on my network, on my lead tag, and which is exactly why, if you want to keep in touch with a lot of your alums and get in touch with people, your alum circle for internships and various other reasons, it's a good idea to write IITB on your headline. So I think it's a good idea to mix both how you want to be portrayed as, what is your profile that you want to be remembered as, and at the same time your education. Okay. Should we mention non-core or unrelated courses we had in our profile? Absolutely. Yes, you should. Why should you not mention it? Because these are courses that you've done. There's a section down there on certifications, and that certification section gives you the freedom to do everything. See, this is exactly how you can also find common contacts with people. Like let's say you're a mixed martial arts fan, and you've written about some course there, maybe not in the about me section, but maybe in the certification section down there, and you go and you randomly you're finding somebody from an XYZ company that you really want to be talking to somebody, and you find somebody in the department that you want to intern, and you find this person is a martial arts enthusiast, so you strike a conversation with him, just like with that one common point, and that's probably why he's not going to say no to your first mail to at least initiate a conversation, because there's an affinity that's suddenly. That's very important. Okay, how do we activate any particular skill batch, and up to what extent is it useful? You activate it by giving the earning a skill batch by giving the test there, just like I showed it to you there. And if you want to read about it in detail, there's a link given in the end of my presentation. You can deep dive into it there. Okay, like I want to investment banking and have an intern in that field. So should I keep it short, internship in the field, and should I keep it, let's say, investment banking, someone has the company name or just the company name? No, it's a good idea to keep it as investment banking summer analyst at XYZ company. So that's okay. It's a good idea to mention the company name. But if you want to go into that company, you can't be using that company's name. If you've done that internship is when you can use the company's name. The company's name is useful only once you've been there. Unless you've been there, you can't use that company. So you can definitely write investment banking, because that's the field you're doing something in, or you're researching on, or you're working on. That is okay. But unless you've done it, you have an internship. If you have an internship at that company, you can of course use the company name. Definitely, that works. All right. So that is 5:29 and absolutely 1 minute before my deadline of 5:30. Okay. If I'm a freelancer, will LinkedIn be useful for me to find paying clients? Absolutely. And not just paid clients, but will also give you amazing leads, because for lead generation, LinkedIn is one of the best mediums that you can use, especially as a freelance writer. So I would absolutely advise to go very, 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 absolutely overboard with everything that you're doing on LinkedIn. Absolutely advise. I've landed a job and loving it right now. Should I care about LinkedIn? Yes, Ritesh, you should still care about LinkedIn, because jobs change, because people change, because networks always need to be expanded, and because in life you're not going to be in one job for the rest of your life. It's not a good idea to suddenly get active on LinkedIn when you start looking for a job. You're starting to look for a job and you need a job change, and now is the time I should be bothered about it. No, I think it's a good idea to be consistently on LinkedIn. Maybe not post every week, but once in a while, every 15 days, 20 days, write something new on LinkedIn. It's a good thing to do, and it's a good thing to be in the radar professionally and be noticed professionally. LinkedIn is all about exactly being there, and if at the end of it जो दिखता है वो बिकता है, so showing your presence around there definitely makes a difference. All right, I hope I've answered all the questions. Insightful session, thank you so much. So I'll hand it over to Arushi, Dr. Archana. Yeah, there.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Falguni. It's a beautiful session, and I'm sure all the participants would have really enjoyed it. Yeah. Arushi, would you have anything
Thank
to
you,
say?
ma'am. It was a very insightful session and pleasing to enjoy it very much.
Thank you.
Good. So we hope that all the students, and particularly the registered students, start creating their LinkedIn profile, and the others also who have been in this webinar. And if you have any issues or anything to just simply discuss and chat, you come on that WhatsApp group that we have for Project Neve, and you can simply update, post your question, and Falguni will get back to all of you definitely with all the kind of help that is required.
I would, and I've also left my number there and my email there. So if you have any questions on LinkedIn, you can definitely get in touch with me. Again,
This
like I
is
said, if you write to me without saying who you are or without a 1 minute introduction or a one line introduction, I will not respond. Take that effort of that one line that I taught you today, and you will have a response from me for sure. So
yeah.
that's my plan.
So this is like an unpaid free opportunity for you for this kind of support. This simple kind of support of helping you out to develop your profiles on LinkedIn and all are very heavily charged services. People charge it. Here you just learn it, and it's our pleasure to be with all of you and support you in your professional journey. Thank you so much. So we will have the next webinar on next to next Sunday. And that hopefully we plan to have on happiness and balanced life. We will let it know if there is any change. Otherwise, this is the session we take on the next to next Sunday. Okay. Chalo. Thank you so much.
Thank
Oh,
you.
Thank you,
welcome.
ma'am. Thank you. And the recording will be uploaded on YouTube, and the link will be shared with you through Facebook. So all of you who want to refer to the recording, you can check the
Please
Facebook
post
page.
the link on the group also, WhatsApp group also.
Yes, ma'am, sure.
Okay. Take it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You can end the meeting.
Yes, ma'am.